Butter making begins with a tanker truck delivery to the dairy, 30,000 liters of raw cow's milk. Workers test it for consistent color and odor before unloading it through vacuum-pumped hoses. They pump the raw milk into a machine called a separator. The separator spins, dividing the raw milk's fat from the rest of the liquid. The fat is called buttercream, and the rest is skim milk. They put the buttercream in what's called a bulk tank, where mixers stir it to maintain the consistency. After pasteurizing and then aging the buttercream for 24 hours, workers prepare to transfer it into another machine called the churner. First, they clean the inside by filling it with water mixed with iodine. This removes any germs left behind by the previous batch. They spin the churner for about 5 minutes before rinsing it out. Next, they pour in 1,500 liters of buttercream, filling the churner about halfway. It's important to leave some room so that the air released in the churning process can escape through 2 vents in the churner. The churner spins at 28 rotations per minute, about the speed of a clothes dryer. This causes the buttercream's fat molecules to bunch together, releasing water and air. Every 5 minutes, a worker stops the churner and regulates the air vent on top. When he feels there's no more air escaping, he closes the valve and restarts the machine. After 30 minutes of churning, the fat molecules in the buttercream are creamy clumps known as popcorn butter. These clumps stay trapped in the churner, while the remaining liquid, called buttermilk, flows out a drain at the bottom. A vacuum pump system sends it through hoses to a nearby container. This draining process takes about 10 minutes and produces about 800 liters of buttermilk. This dairy uses the buttermilk to make ice cream. The popcorn butter, all 684 kilograms of it, has the same consistency as regular butter at room temperature. A worker now flavors it with 14 kilograms of salt. This dairy also makes unsalted butter. The worker closes the churner by sealing the glass window with a rubber ring and a metal collar. This keeps the internal air pressure roughly equal to what's outside the churner. Doing this ensures the churner works sufficiently. Another 30 minutes of churning and the fat molecules thicken even more and blend with the salt. What results is butter, which is yellow because of its natural vitamin A. Fromage d'Alpage is produced by cheesemakers who bring their cows high into the Alps for 5 months to this region of Gstaad, Switzerland. In the morning, they milk their cows for about 7 minutes using an automatic milking machine. Each cow produces around 10 liters of milk, which contains water, protein, and fat. "12 hours later, he removes the fat, which rises to the surface. He adds a starter culture, which helps preserve the milk. A wood fire then heats the milk for 20 minutes at a constant 30 degrees Celsius. He then adds an enzyme called rennet and more starter culture to the milk. After about 40 minutes, these active ingredients coagulate the milk into cheese curd. He cuts the solidifying curd into smaller pieces. To maintain an even heat, he keeps blending the curd and the liquid together. He continues mixing and cutting the curd until the active ingredients separate the curd from the liquid, called whey. To make cheese, he will use only the grains of curd. An electric mixer then completes the separation. He washes his arms and hands thoroughly because any impurities in the cheese would ruin it. After heating the mixture for 20 minutes again, the curd is now the perfect texture for making cheese. Using cheesecloth, they remove the grains of curd. What started out as 300 liters of milk will end up producing only 30 kilograms of cheese. The cheesemaker stuffs the sack of curd into a mold and works out some of the whey. He then puts 3 molds filled with curd into a wooden press. And using a wooden block that distributes the pressure evenly, he squeezes out more of the whey. To get all the excess liquid out of the curd, he turns each 10-kilogram piece of cheese over so he can press it again. Too much liquid in the cheese would affect its shape and quality, so he does this a few times, then leaves them in the press overnight. The next morning, he trims off the excess cheese created around the edge by the pressing mold. Like every step in this cheese-making process, this work is also done by hand. He soaks the cheese in salt water for 24 hours to conserve, harden, and intensify its taste. The cheese then goes through a salting and maturing process that lasts 6 months. During this time, they flip each piece of cheese often so it ages evenly. After a final surface cleaning, they put the 10-kilogram pieces on their sides to air dry. They'll remain edible for at least 10 years.
That's right, yogurt starts out as plain old milk. Every day, 15,000 litres of milk is delivered to us from local farmers and loaded into these huge refrigerated storage tanks. When we're ready to turn all this milk into yogurt, the next step is a very critical one, and it's called pasteurisation. First, we transfer the milk into smaller tanks. We do this to make the next step a bit easier. We heat up each tank up to 92.5 degrees. It takes a few hours to heat so much liquid, but by doing this, we kill any nasty germs or bacteria that might be present. Then we cool it down to about 40 degrees, and then we add our friendly bacteria. That's right. Even though we've just removed the bacteria from the milk, it's time to add some different bacteria back in. We call these cultures, and the species of bacteria that make the yogurt have some pretty complicated names. But how does friendly bacteria make yogurt? Well, the cultures get straight to work chomping down on all the sugars, called lactose, which is present in the milk. In doing so, they release gas and convert the lactose into lactic acid. This process is called fermentation. This lactic acid is what gives the yogurt its characteristically tangy taste. It takes about 10 hours for the bacteria to multiply and eat all the sugar. This turns milk into yogurt, but there's one more step before we're done. After we pour about 30 litres of yogurt into these large cloths, we let them sit and strain them. The excess liquid in the yogurt then slowly flows out, leaving behind extra thick, extra tangy yogurt. After a couple of days, we're left with half the amount of yogurt. Then we actually add back in a little bit of the unstrained yogurt until the finished product is at just the right consistency. Okay, now we've got 400 kilo of almost finished product, and now we're going to package it.
It all begins with fresh cream. The factory stores the cream in refrigerated silos set to a constant 4 degrees Celsius. The silos feed a high-speed mixer that blends it with the other ingredients. The main dry ingredients are powdered skim milk and plant-based stabilizers and emulsifiers. Stabilizers prevent the ice cream from crystallizing, and emulsifiers allow the mix to bond with air during the whipping process. The other ingredients are sugar and corn syrup. After about 3 minutes of mixing, a pumping system moves the mixture into large pasteurization tanks. The tanks keep the mixture at 72 degrees Celsius for half an hour, killing any bacteria and activating the stabilizers. Then the factory homogenizes the mixture, a process that breaks up the fat globules, giving the ice cream a smooth texture. They cool the mixture and add concentrated vanilla flavoring. Then they chill and whip everything for about 15 seconds. Whipping blends the mix with air, transforming it from a liquid to a soft solid. Without air, it would come out looking like frozen milk rather than ice cream.